After close to 4 weeks with the Vision Pro, I wish that I could return it, but I can't, and it is not what you think. Let me explain. I also just got back from a week in Phoenix where I finally got to use it on an airplane, and that also changed my perspective on it. And as you guys could probably tell, I was sick the whole time and my voice is still off, so sorry about that. I have to start out by saying that Apple won with their launch of the Vision Pro. It blew up like crazy, not only all over YouTube by tech reviewers, but by other content creators that don't make tech videos. And with that, we had a bunch of short format videos and social media posts that went viral. And this was great for Apple, and I think even they themselves didn't think that the launch was going to go this well. The hype was crazy for it, way more than any Oculus or other VR headset in the past. And I think that's because of a few reasons. First off, it's an Apple product, and second is that price tag of $3,500. Just remember when Apple launched the 6K display and we had that $1,000 stand, that became a meme everywhere, and that gives a lot of attention, and even bad attention is good for a product or a brand. Analysts were expecting Apple to sell 60 to 80,000 of these units, but Apple sold out of 200,000 of these at launch, and people were buying them for over $5,000 on eBay because they had to test this out. Now, of course, a lot of people ended up returning them because Apple is very generous with their return policy, but of course I didn't. And I think the first thing I want to touch on is the whole dystopian factor of wearing one of these headsets. Back when Google Glass came out, people were very put off somebody wearing a headset, even though that was so minimal. They were calling people glass holes, and they didn't like that. But now we're in 2024, where everybody's used to AirPods now, when those used to be weird, people talking to themselves walking around when they're actually on a phone call. People are wearing AirPods Max all over out in the open. It's become a fashion statement, and this is the newest thing. Now, it is dystopian, but because of the massive hype that came out, when I wore it, people just looked at me more like normal. A lot of regular people heard of the Vision Pro because of all the marketing push and the hype. Now, unfortunately, it's a little bit sad thinking that people are gonna escape their realities into a virtual world, but that's not how Apple wants this to be used, and that's not really how I used it. I was worried that the Vision Pro is gonna be similar to the Quest that I've bought, where when I put it on, I'm in a whole nother world, I'm ignoring my kids, and I don't like that part of it. But when I wore this for a full day, that was not my experience. And I actually found that spending time with my kids was not bad at all. Now, they were not weirded out about it. They would talk to me just fine. And of course, they are used to a lot more tech, and I know I'm using this product, but I think that the eyesight feature helps so much, and people don't give it enough credit. Even here in the office, talking to Vadim and Ben wearing the headsets, it felt normal, it felt real, because I could see their expressions, I could see their eyes. And I think that's something that Apple has to keep with these headsets, because it makes it a whole other experience. I do think it should get better, but I think this is key to this whole new experience. And another thing I want to talk about is the fact that I actually felt less distracted wearing and using the Vision Pro at my house and being around my wife and kids than using my phone. Typically, I'll get a notification, I'll want to do something, I'll pull it out, I'm staring down at the screen, walking or sitting, I can't hear my kids, I open up something else that might get my attention. But with the Vision Pro, I would get a text message, I would instantly see it, I can use my voice to reply quickly and still be focusing on what's going around. And that makes me very optimistic for the future when this gets smaller. And now I have to mention my airplane experience. When I was flying over to Phoenix, I put this thing on, I put it into the travel mode, and I connected to my Mac, and it was amazing. I set myself into that virtual world just like Apple showed off. I made a huge screen, 50, 60 inches, and I was editing videos. I was going through my files and doing certain things. And after about 5 minutes, I forgot that I was on an airplane, and it was almost like I was at my office getting work done and being productive at a level that I could never do on an airplane. And of course, watching videos, being immersed, it makes travel so much better that I would not want to travel without one of these. I mean, it just levels up your travel experience so much. Now, with that, being on the go, another killer thing about this is if you're out, you're at a coffee shop, you're in a hotel, the productivity that you can get pairing it to a Mac is way better than just using a small MacBook screen. If you're doing certain things like photo, video editing, having multiple windows or a large screen is amazing, and you can stay in the same space as other people if you don't put yourself into a virtual world. That is a huge thing that I love about the Vision Pro, because it allows you to experience something that you could never do with any other device. So it's not just an extra feature or extra thing to connect to your Mac or to use certain apps from an iPad. It just provides something that is impossible without it. Now, I also want to mention the battery life. Apple claimed 2 to 2.5 hours. I don't think I've ever gotten that low. I think they've been very optimistic. I've gotten close to 4 hours with it, and I actually bought 2 batteries. I bought an extra one, and I've never needed it. So I am actually gonna return it because using the pass-through, it charges very quick. There's actually extra capacity. So on the battery itself, it says 36 watt hours. People have said it's in the 40s, so they have extra, so this thing will last a long time. It charges fast all the way to 100%, so that has been awesome. And talking about not having to be stuck in a virtual world, there's actually times where I have loved being stuck in a virtual world. Being here in the office, where I can actually put myself into a virtual space so I can really focus on my work and get away from all the distractions. That has been a really pleasant surprise and a great use case for something like this. If you're working with a lot of other people, you like to chat, talk about things, somebody's gonna come up to you, just being able to just focus in has been awesome. Now, I also want to talk about watching TV. I'm somebody that actually almost never watches TV unless it's a social thing with my wife, with my kids. And so for me, I haven't been using this device for that. But when you get into a virtual space with a theater, and I can show a trailer because most movies get blocked, the experience is very, very awesome. I guess I'll say it in that way. I do have a big theater at my house that I set up because I love large screens, but that is very expensive. And so this device, when you factor in the movie watching, if you do watch alone, and I know a lot of people do, but it provides an experience that you can't get anywhere near for the price. And then of course you get so much more with it other than a theater room. Now, I also want to mention the FaceTime calls. This is another thing which you can't experience with anything else other than this headset. You get the depth that we can't show you guys through a screen recording. The audio quality is better than any other iPhone or MacBook or tablet. It is such a great experience being hands-off, not holding a device, and being able to chat and talk. It is crazy. Now, I've said a lot of positives over the last 4 weeks, but one thing that's a negative is the gaming experience. It's not great. Yes, you have Fruit Ninja and some other basic things, but not having dedicated controllers like the Quest makes it a much worse experience. I don't think Apple will make them, but I don't think they want to. I don't think they want this to be a gaming device. But there's also very little games, and even my gaming experience on the Quest from years ago, even with the original one, was a much better experience, not counting the screen quality compared to this thing. So Mark Zuckerberg also made a video saying how the Quest 3 is better overall than this thing, not just cheaper. And I'd say for gaming, yes, but overall, I mean, he owns that company. He has to say that. No, this device is on a whole nother level in terms of quality, usability for spatial computing, which I would call it that because I've done a lot of it, done stuff outside, in the office, at home. This is a completely different kind of device. So over the last almost 4 weeks now, I've kind of went back and forth, and I've seen a lot of other reviewers get into this mind space too. You're being blown away, then you're disappointed in certain things, and the lack of controllers, lack of apps, wishing the pass-through cameras were better, the price tag, and then you try something else out, and the experience is so special, so crazy, and does basically makes the impossible possible. That you're like, man, this is incredible. And that makes it hard, and that's the reason why I can't return it. I've actually been tempted to because as the weeks have gone on, I've been using it less, but then every time I use it, I'm like, wow, this is so awesome. And using it on an airplane, I'm like, I don't want to fly again without it, or I don't want to travel again and do work without it. And so I'm not going to be returning it because there's so much things that if I don't have it, I'm like, I wish I'd be able to do this now. And I know it's going to take a while for the next one. And with that, I have to talk about the software, because this is version 1. Version 1 software always sucks. And even though there's limitations, it's still good, and it's gonna get so much better. And soon we're gonna have WWDC, and I cannot wait for visionOS 2.0 and everything else that's gonna come new and all the improvements that they're gonna make. It's gonna get just better. They'll never be worse than what it is now, and it's already really good. And then I have to talk about the price tag, of course. We have a price list that came out recently. About $1,500 is what goes into the components, and so that's already triple what the Quest 3 sells for. It's very expensive, but of course it's not $2,500 like some people thought. So they're selling it for $3,500. They are making a profit. They could have sold it less, but you have to keep in mind all the R&D and the years and years of work and so much things that came into the iPhone, the LiDAR, all the AR, spatial audio, all that tech that they've been working on for years was designed for this. So a lot of that cost has to be factored in. And overall, I have to say that this is a luxury item. This is version 1. And in order to be able to keep it, you have to be able to afford it or really love it and spend your money on it. So it is a luxury item, but that's gonna change. And I think what Apple really needs to do after all of this hype and such a great version 1 product, they need to release a version 2 that's cheaper, and they need to do it as soon as possible. I think it's gonna be a grave mistake for them if they wait for 2 years, 3 years, they put it on the shelf, because hype's gonna die down, it's gonna get forgotten, other products are gonna come out. If Apple wants this to be the future, they need to make it cheaper, they need to make it lighter, and they need to release a second version as soon as possible. So Apple, please do that, because after using this, the limitations kind of suck, but all the positives are so good that I have to keep it, and I cannot wait for a smaller, lighter version of this, and ultimately some eyeglass style headset that can do what this can do, so I can spend a lot less time on my phone and be in the world, but have my text pop up, have notifications pop up, and just be discreet. I think that really is the future. So you guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Click that circle above and check out my 8-hour workday and my full day video right over there. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next one.